Hello, welcome to Quackalope. Thank you for being here. Today, we're taking a look at Super Fantasy Brawl by Mythic Games because their Wave 2, where you could get the core box and I believe 9 new character expansions at the time of filming this video, is currently live over on Kickstarter, and they're only doing a 9-day campaign. So, if this is one that has been on your radar, that you're interested in picking up, make sure you swing over there and take a look. Link, like always, will be in the top of this video description. This video is going to do one very important specific thing. We're going to go through the new characters and cards that I have been sent. I'm also going to give you a quick and brief overview of what exactly Super Fantasy Brawl is for those of you that aren't familiar. Over the course of the last year, Super Fantasy Brawl, which is a 2-player or 4-player head-to-head tactics and skirmish game driven by asymmetric character cards, character powers, and unique teams, has been one of Board Game Co's and our favorite little skirmish experience that we've come across. Genuinely, if you like a good 2-player head-to-head that isn't just stand in a line and punch each other in the face, that requires movement, tactics, orientation, and a sequencing of cards, with a ton of special powers, abilities, and super cool miniatures, this is going to be a game that you're going to want to pay attention to. In Super Fantasy Brawl, you're going to be pitted against 2 teams. You're going to build your own team of 3 different unique characters, sort of similar to the ones that we're going over in this video. Each of those characters will have their own unique deck of cards. They'll have powers and abilities that allow you to manipulate, push, pull, deal damage, jump over, lay traps, set off, magical barriers and explosions, and any of the cool powers that you could imagine when you're thinking of head-to-head combat games. Some are focused on tactics and movement, some are focused on completing various objectives, and many are focused on just pure fury, strength, and aggressive play. The main objective of the game is to accomplish a variety of different challenges in this arena. These can be standing next to or dominating a statue's location, taking out multiple opponents on a single turn, or taking control of your opponent's spawn zone. Those are only some of the examples that you can experience. As you play, you're going to be forced to think on your feet, maneuver around, push and pull and shift the other player's characters so that you can be the person to claim those points as opposed to your opponent. The game ends when one of the players has successfully earned themselves 5 total points, and normally for us in a competition, we'd play something along 3 rounds head-to-head, determining the victor as best 2 out of 3. Now, if you are familiar with Quackalope and you do enjoy the content that we put out, we're going to be doing something a little bit interesting and special. My hope within the next probably 7 days is to set up and do a gameplay recording with Jan Bigas, my co-host and roommate. In that, I plan on having a shot glass line of condiments, ketchup, mustard, wasabi, and the loser has to take a shot of whatever the opponent decides they should do. Well, to do this, I'm going to need your advice or suggestions. Leave a comment down below letting me know what you think would be the funniest to see. Jan and I have to tip back in the middle of a game. All that being said, this video is about the new characters and cards. I've done a series of videos, gameplay, strategy guides, stuff like that. So I thought I'd just sit down, I'd go through what is here in the new expansion, or the new expansions. I believe there's 3 total of them coming with 3 characters each, and talk about how I think some of these heroes will operate. So here we have Jaquise Lebloo, the Jack of Hearts. Now, each of these cards are going to have their normal character side and then their upgraded side here with pretty incredible artwork. At the start of your activation phase, you may ready a core. This is good because sometimes you'll be spending cards. There's going to be 3 core resources, red, yellow, and blue, and you have to utilize those to not only play defensive reaction cards, but also take your active turn. And on your turn, if you've used red to play a defensive card, you won't be able to use red again to play another card that would give you a farther activation. Him upgraded here gives you a lot more control over your deck and may open the door for you to build strategically a group of characters that operate off of the same core function, assuming that you can get him up and running. Parrying Blow. Discard up to 3 cards. For each manipulation card discarded, gain +1 armor. So this could be immensely powerful depending on how you layer it. Now, all of these cards that I'm going through until we get to the next hero are all going to be his. Ripasay, +1 defense, discard up to 3 cards. For each destruction card discarded, the attacker suffers 1 damage. Okay, another hand cycle, another destruction. So pairing this up with some cards that have key terms or key words could be really good. Engard, movement 2, area of effect directly in front, 1 damage. The attack gains +1 damage for each champion targeted. So if you have 3 in front of you, you could do a significant amount of damage. A Pirate's Life for me. Movement 2, draw 1, heal 1. You may exhaust your manipulation core to plan 2. Interesting. So draw 1, heal 1. Pretty powerful. Card draw, good for some of the other cards that he has in his hand. Could be a good one to play to set up one of your other sequencing cards. Heal 1, always solid. It is hard to get rid of health, or it's hard to heal yourself in this game. Normally you get knocked out and have to reset. You may exhaust your manipulation core to plan 2. Plan 2 is going to let you strategically place what you want at the top of your deck, meaning you could really set yourself up for another turn, especially if you have a card in your hand that you knew you wanted to utilize. Swift Sword Cut. Movement 2, -3, ignoring traps and champions. Deal damage to each enemy champion dashed through. Okay, similar to some of the other characters that we have. After this activation, after damage, you may exhaust your destruction core to play this card again. Well, that's interesting. So you could exhaust your red core in order to resequence this. So you could dash through, exhaust your red, and then re-dash through. I like that. It's more powerful than the other version of this card that we've seen other characters have. Really takes a lot of energy for one sequence. But if you have yourself upgraded and you can refresh your cores at the start of your next turn, it's not bad. Coupe de Grace. Before damage, -2. The attack gains +1 damage for each destruction card in your discard pile. Okay, again, really incentivizing getting cards through your deck, out of your hand, into your discard pile as efficiently as possible. First impressions, I like how he's playing. I'm interested to see. This is going to rely on a lot of movement through your hands. Like, I would probably play him as maybe a cornerstone, the core conceit of a deck, and focus on maybe adding a few other characters that either have more of those destruction cards potentially, that are able to cycle some of your cores, or that I don't mind if I'm discarding multiple cards from my hand from them, because he's really the main feature, the kind of the main showpiece. We have Nikkit, the Sky. Sort of a interesting, I'm not sure if it's the giant totem. No, it seems like it's multiple little creatures that have this giant totem that are on there. So the second side with blue or purple orbs going through it and glowing eyes. Whenever you plan, you may plan from your discard pile. That's nice. So strategically pulling up cards, placing them back on top of your deck. So if you've used something that you really want to be able to use again the next turn, this could rescue. You have to be upgraded, though. It is going to be hard to get a kill with some of these characters, so keep that in mind. Fearsome Spitfire. 1 movement, range 3 for the attack, 2 damage. If there are no destruction cards in your discard pile, this gains +2 damage. Okay, so this one might not be immediately the best one to pair with the other character. Be interested to see how they combine. A lot of damage, but if you have any destruction at all in your discard pile, you're going to be losing that. Push 1. Crackle Wind. Range 3. 2 damage. Swoop 2 before damage. Swoop allows you to move through locations, so through totems or through other characters. After damage, if there's no manipulation cards in your discard pile, this gains Stun. Another one, this one really doesn't want to have much in your discard pile, and really after the first few sequences, you're definitely going to be... So this is where you pair with this special ability for the character here, for Nikkit, that allows you to pull cards out of your discard pile, because that would, if you had some plan activations, you could pull cards out that allow you to unlock some of these abilities. Movement 1, range 3, damage 2, Blackwater's Bite. If there are no creation cards in your discard pile, this gains +1. damage, and lifesteal. So you get to heal yourself up. Pretty powerful, again. But I gotta be honest, these 3 cards seem hard to use. I mean, it seems like you need to really be planning your deck in order to take advantage of them. Here's the defense card, Shell of the Swamp, +1 defense. If the attacker is adjacent to the target, this gains +2. Okay, so range is going to be more effective against this character than direct kind of hard-hitting damage. It's not bad. Burning Wrath. Movement 1, range 3. If the target champion suffers 1 damage, the target champion suffers 1 damage and gains +2 attack until the end of the turn. This may target Nikkit's allies. Okay, so you're doing some damage, but imbuing your friends or allies with a little bit of a boon. Or this could be an interesting card to just do that last bit of damage you need to have a character come off the board, as long as they are not able to utilize that additional damage against you the next turn. Recovery. Shuffle all cards from your discard pile into your deck. There we are. There's the card that's going to allow us to hopefully unlock some of those other ones. Heal 2. Pretty powerful. Seems like they will have an interesting balance of playing with their discard pile and trying to pull things back, paired with that first character, because they come in the same expansion together, so I assume you kind of play them as a set if you wanted. The opportunity to discard down a ton, but then also control what is living in your discard pile, could have some interesting interplay there. Jaquise, Will of the Heavens. Very nice. You can use any core as a creation core. So any core now becomes a yellow available core. I assume we're going to see a lot of creation cards then. Heaven's Blessing. 2 movement. Target any allied champion. The target may heal 2, gain +1 attack, and +1 movement until the end of the turn. Okay, support character so far. Pretty powerful support card though. That's benefiting every aspect of the characters you're playing with. Salt the Wound. Like that. 2 movement, right in front, 0 damage. The attack gains +1 damage for each damage on the target. Ooh. So if you've got characters that are playing bloodied, which means you're below half health, they immediately become vulnerable to this card here. I mean, that I could see you just ending someone in a really disgusting way. Glimpse of Divinity, +1 shield. Cancel all after damage effects on the card, or on the attack. Play this down as a defense card. Allows you to negate some of those after damage. And sometimes you play cards just for the after damage effects. You don't really care about the damage that you're doing. Another yellow card, Restoration, 2 movement. An ally adjacent to Jaquise may heal 3. Return 1 of that champion's cards from your discard pile to your hand. Interesting. Return 1 of that champion's cards from your discard pile to your hand. A little bit more deck control, not a ton though. That heal 3 is compelling to me. You have to be adjacent. A little bit of a limiting factor on there, but this is a pretty significant support character right here. Ibis Strike. 2 movement, 2 range, 1 damage. After damage, pull. Just adjust the board a little bit. Really not doing enough damage to be felt. Radiant Rush. 1 movement. Swoop 3, move through anything 3. Heal 1 for each hex moved through. Okay. Really support-focused character here. Really paying attention to healing and supplementing the other characters on the board. I'm interested because from my read, staying alive, keeping your allies alive, and then right when it's the right moment, playing that card that does damage equal to the amount of damage they already have, that could be a strategic move that ends the game right there. King Alistar, the Scaled Tyrant. All right, what does he have here? I don't know what that symbol is. Oh, no special abilities. He just gets strong. Adds 1 shield and 1 health when he sups up. So, like, that becomes hard to destroy. We do have some flavor text. All these cards have flavor text. I haven't been reading all of it. I know, sacrilegious. Authority is the manifestation of power over another, and power is the expression of one's will upon the world. My will is stronger, so yours matters not. Ooh, I'm gonna say defense character, right? Okay, let's see. Die for your king. Okay, maybe not defense. Let's check it out. 2 movement, range every hex around you, 3 damage. This is just mean. This is just mean, and I have to keep reading this flavor text. The people hide my daughter and her little rebellion from me. It is their mistake to make. Start with the youngest. Teach them who is king. Holy cow! Holy cow! He's murdering his own family. Long live the king. 2 movement. Directly in front, 3 damage. After damage, if the target was taken out of action, heal 2. No! My kind has ruled for time immeasurable. To me, you are nothing. You are less than nothing. You are not even a pest. Ooh, I like this one. I automatically want to play with this. Is just a brutal deck, though. Bow before the king. 1 movement directly in front, 2 damage. After damage, if damage was dealt, the target suffers 1 fear that you run away from you. It is not enough that you kneel. Beg for life. Recognize my power or face the consequences. The Tyrant's Gaze. 1 movement, 2 range in a straight line. Fear 2, pushing people out of the way. Stun, freeze them where they are. You're just staring them down, and then you get to walk to them and murder them. King Alistar rarely considered anyone worthy of his attention. Those he did rarely lived long enough to regret it. Forced March. 2 movement. Each ally, force 1. I mean, I appreciate the card ability. I think at this point your allies are even scared of you, though. The safety of his men was not a concern of the scaled tyrant. All that mattered were the results. That seems true. Here's going to be his defense card. Reverence. The target is immune to fear until the end of the turn. Okay. Whatever the enemy threw at them, King Alistar's soldiers knew that failure would result in a far worse fate. Yeah, they don't care. They're not doing anything. They're not leaving. It's death or it's death. So, what are you going to pick? And one of the deaths is worse than the other. That, not only flavor text, excellent, super excited. Now I'm going to keep reading it. That seems like a fun deck to play, but that is mean. That is so mean. This guy is just brutal. I sort of want to see like 1 heavy support character and 2 versions of like just brutal characters going out. That's a deck where you win just by wiping out all 3 of your enemies because you score points that way too, and you might as well. So Zinchen, the kinetic kitty. Everyone loves a good cat. This is going to be another boost. Boost of 1 health, and then when an enemy champion suffers displacement effects by Zinchen, they also suffer stun. Okay, so you're going to be freezing people in place. Let's see what's going on here. Shift the elements. This is the defense card. +2 after sequence, attacker suffers force 1. Okay, so you're going to be defending yourself and pushing someone back. We have Mind Over Matter. 1 movement, 2 to 3 range, 1 damage. After force 1, push 1. Again, manipulating characters. Okay. Feline's Grace. Jump 3. An adjacent enemy suffers 1 push. Again, good movement, but again, manipulating other characters primarily. Pull of the Panther. Move 1, range 3 to 5. Super long distance range on this one. Pull 2. Okay, I mean, this is contemplation. Move 2, draw 2, plan 2. Set your deck up, prepare for the future. Very little damage right now in this deck, though. A ton of player manipulation, though. So this could be a character that is just designed to prevent other people from scoring. 2 movement, 2 to 3 range, 2 damage, double. After push 1. Now, I'm not sure the keyword on double. I might have to look that up, or it might be a new key term. I assume it's not, however. Double might be double the damage. That would be my assumption. And then push 1, again, more manipulation. So This character is all about manipulating your opponent. You could pull them into a indefensible position, shift them into traps, stun them, stop their movement, get them out of a player controlled region so that you can score at the start of your turn, or just prevent them from scoring. I like manipulation characters. They're not always. They can be more frustrating than fun sometimes, depending on how you're playing or who you're playing against with them. But I do enjoy them. Isabella. So here we have the Fate Weaver. Back of the card here, blue glowing orb, beautiful. At the start of your activation phase, plan 1. More planning cards in here. Not a skill that I use a lot. I usually just play with the deck that I have, and I don't try to build. But it seems like they're incentivizing, heavy strategic play when it comes to deck manipulation. Fully prepared. This is her defense card. No, I think the wheel turns here. I'm sure you'll find it's for the best. Okay, just straight defense, nothing too fancy on that one. Burden of Destiny. 1 movement, 3 range. Okay, the target champion gains 1 damage and suffers -1 shield until the end of the turn. This may target allies. So either boon one of your characters, making yourself a little bit more vulnerable, but doing more damage, or you do the same to an opponent. Kind of equal trade there. I don't know that I would be excited to play that card as often as some of the other red cards I've seen. Right place, right time. Place Isabella in any free hex. Okay, she's going to be able to. I mean, that's pretty powerful. You could literally hop across the board to complete an objective, and your opponent would have to go out of their way to stop you. Foretell, discard your hand, but it could make her vulnerable as well. Push-pull there. Movement 2, discard your hand, draw 5, plan 2. This might work well with our lead character there at the beginning, who is really incentivized on having a hand of cards and cycling through your deck efficiently. Prophecy of Doom. Move 2, range 2 to 3 in a straight line. 1 damage, after damage, stun. Okay, straight up attack, not too powerful, has a little bit of range on it. Deja Vu. 2 movement, directly in front, 3 damage. Reactions cannot be played during this attack. Pretty significant there. 3 damage coming straight at you and no one can react to it. If you're able to do that in surprise characters, that's a card that other players should plan around, I would say. And then our final character here, Alchemy, the Wishmaker. Okay, back of this, let's see what they have. One of your champions can make 1 standalone action per round without spending a core. 1 basic action. This could be move, attack, draw a card, I believe. So, not the most powerful, but a nice supplement to what you're doing. And that additional action opens the door to a lot of freedom, because instead of just playing a card, which can be pretty powerful, you're able to maneuver in position and then maybe activate a card effectively. Barrage. 2 movement, directly in front, 3 spaces in front, 2 damage. This attack ignores the target's defense. Cut straight through. Pretty powerful when you're able to do that against some of the characters that have some heavy armor and shield. Acid Rain. 2 movement, deal damage to each champion equal to their defense. Well, it's an interesting little card to play, especially if you've just given a character defense, like we've seen some of these other cards do, or if you're playing against a character that just supped, and they have their super ability. If that's the case, they may have a boon on defense, and you can just deal some additional damage to them. Recipe for deal damage to each champion. Interesting as well. I assume that that's going to affect yourself as well. So, Repair for Disaster. Draw 2, plan 2. Okay, pretty standard there. Aqua Vitae. Heal 1 an enemy champion to ready your manipulation core. Give your opponent something, set yourself up for something more powerful. Could give the ability to play another card, however, that takes a lot more than that one that you just gave. Alchemist Fire. Next opponent player, draw 1, ready your destruction core. Again, boon to your opponent, but you're potentially getting something set up for yourself to use. And finally, Up in Smoke. After the effect, deal 2 damage to each enemy champion adjacent to the target. Place the target in your deployment zone. Okay, putting someone that could, again, this last character has an interesting interplay. some things benefit your opponent in a way that if you're not strategic about how you're using them, you're going to be in a position where you might have just handed them a victory when you're trying to just play some of the cards and ready yourself for some activations. I think this last character might be one of the more strategically in-depth characters, but I think they'll probably pair very well with some of the other players, specifically ones that want that creation or destruction core up and running. I'm excited about these characters. Like I said, we're going to be doing a head-to-head matchup. Jan and I, let us know what the loser or how the loser should suffer. I think it's going to be a fun video. Hopefully you enjoyed this. Hopefully you enjoyed a deep dive or a look into these new characters. For me, Super Fantasy Brawl is all about the sequencing, the pairing, the way that you bring characters together, you create your teams, and then the interplay of cards and positioning on the map. And so for me, this is hands down the most exciting thing they can add to their core system or their core game. More characters to mix and match with more characters to create some interesting combinations and sequences. Whatever the case, I hope you enjoyed this, and whatever you do, remember to do the important thing. Get out and play some games. We'll see you next time. Thank you.